Like most TTRPGs, at the core of draw steal gameplay is your class. Whether you are an Elementalist conjuring fiery magic or a Tactician leading your allies to victory, your class is going to determine your gameplay. And each of the 9 draw steal classes are incredibly unique with their own mechanics that you're going to have to learn. So, where do you start with that learning? Well, I think it's important to start with heroic resources. We've already talked about heroic resources when we talked about character stats and resources in a previous episode, but we're going to go over them again here because heroic resources are really important. They are the fuel behind your most potent abilities in Draw Steal, and each class has their own unique heroic resource. We will be going over each heroic resource in this overview of every single class, but be aware that there's a lot of depth to this game, and this is a general overview. We're not going into the nitty-gritty. I think you have to learn that yourself, because once you start learning about all the depth in this game, it makes it so much more fun. And that depth starts with how you gain and use your heroic resource, fueling your most potent abilities in combat. But with that little lecture out of the way, I think it's time to start with that overview. So let's start in alphabetical order with the Censor. The Censor is your paladin, your holy knight, your righteous avenger. Your heroic resource is your wrath. You gain wrath passively, but you gain more wrath when you are fighting with an enemy affected by your judgment. Judgment is an ability that can be used with your maneuver, where you target a specific creature, that enemy gains some debuffs, and you gain some buffs when you attack them. Your playstyle is going to focus around marking specific enemies and then engaging them in duels, whether it's taking out a bunch of small enemies one by one or marking a big boss and engaging them in righteous and furious combat. When you're attacking those judged foes, you gain bonuses to your wrath, which means you get to use more powerful abilities more often. This is the Censor's playstyle. When it comes to the Censor's subclasses, they are as follows. The Exorcist, specializing in hunting down hidden enemies and having some really powerful roleplay abilities. You automatically gain the Read Person skill with this subclass. The Oracle, which specializes in some minor magical effects so that you can uncover clandestine supernatural threats. And finally, the Paragon, a firm hand with a mighty blade that leads allies to victory. This is your standard holy warrior, and if you want a quick build for beginners, then the Paragon is going to be the easiest subclass for you. That is the Censor. Moving on to the Conduit. The Conduit is your priest, your cleric, the voice of the gods. Their heroic resource is piety, which is gained passively like all other classes, but you also gain piety when you pray to the gods. The effects of your prayer are different depending on the god, and this is where your subclass comes in. The Conduit is a bit unique, as your subclass is somewhat customizable. Instead of having just 3 or 4 options, the Conduit has like a massive list of options, which are as follows. Creation, death, fate, knowledge, life, love, nature, protection, storm, sun, trickery, and war. Each of these options grants you some minor bonuses, but instead of picking just one of them, you pick a couple and merge them. Like, for example, if you want to pick a god of trickery that dwells in the underworld, you would pick the trickery domain and the death domain, gaining the effects of both domains for your prayer and for your general effects. This means that conduits are very dynamic and highly customizable. You can play 2 different conduits that are very, very different depending on their domains. It's also worth noting that the conduit is the most potent support class in the game. A lot of their abilities focus on buffing allies with both heals and extra damage. If you want a beginner-focused support, conduit in general is really good for you, but they're also really dynamic, appealing to experienced players as well. So yeah, that's the conduit. Moving on to something that's just generally complex, the Elementalist. The Elementalist is your sorcerer, your mage, your conjurer of mighty magical power. Their heroic resource is Essence. Essence is gained passively, like all other classes, but also gained when someone conjures elemental magic near you. It could be an ally summoning an elemental spell or an enemy hitting you with elemental magic. Keep track of the damage types that are happening all around you because you gain bonus essence when elemental magic is conjured. But with that being said, what is this essence used for? It's used for your powerful abilities, just like every other class, but it's also used to maintain effects across the battlefield. Basically, you can maintain concentration on multiple different spells all at once using persistence. And this is extremely powerful. It is a bit complicated. You need to keep track of all these different effects and know which spells have persistence and which don't. But if you can both maintain your essence as well as maintain all of these effects, you can be a one-man army single-handedly wiping out legions of foes. The Elementalist is complicated, but very, very rewarding. Their subclasses are as follows. First, you have Earth, which focuses on enhancing your body and protecting yourself, but also manipulating the terrain around you to create obstacles and platforms and such. You have Fire. This is pure damage, AoEs, damage over time, that sort of stuff. You also have the Green. The Green focuses on conjuring fungus, plants. These can both debuff enemies and buff your allies. This is the main support subclass for the Elementalist. And finally, Void, another support subclass, but more focused on movement. I absolutely love the Void subclass as it focuses on portals and teleportation that allow your allies to get into battle or out of battle very, very quickly. It lacks on the heal factor, but these sort of more strategist-based supports, they just have a special place in my heart. By the by, if you want the quick build, Fire is going to be the best for beginners. Next up, the Fury. The Fury is your barbarian, your raging warrior on the front lines of battle. The Fury's heroic resource is Ferocity. It used to be called Rage, which was a better name. Why'd they change it? That's stupid. Change it back. Do it now. Anyway, look, it's called Ferocity now. Ferocity is gained when you take tons of damage. You gain even more ferocity once you are in the dying state. So putting yourself in danger is an active part of the Fury's playstyle because, yeah, this is the premier tank class. If you want a good class for just beginners in general, the Fury is a pretty easy one to get a hand of. The subclasses for the Fury are as follows. The Berserker, a highly mobile warrior that focuses on grappling and throwing enemies. You also have the Reaver, less mobile, but with a lot more big damage effects for them to use. Lots of cleaves, lots of bleed. If you want high damage and don't really care about the mobility, Reaver's going to be good for you. Finally, the Stormbright, a very different class. The Stormbright allows you to turn into animal hybrids and gain access to unique kits that no other class or subclass can use. Stormbright is very different from the other two Fury subclasses and less beginner friendly, but if you want something that differentiates from the normal barbarian fantasy, Stormbright's good for you. If you want the quick build, then Berserker is what's recommended in the book for beginners. Next up, the Null. The Null is a highly disciplined, unarmed warrior spellcaster. The Null's discipline is their heroic resource, and you gain discipline through aura farming. I'm not kidding. Like, that's actually how you gain your discipline. The entire class focuses around creating an aura around your character, a little bubble, and getting enemies inside of that bubble. You're a melee class, so this shouldn't be too hard for you, as all the enemies that you're fighting in melee will be inside of that aura, allowing you to farm more of your discipline and use more of your powerful abilities. Your bubble also will have a lot of debuffs, so keeping people in there, it's really important. The Null's subclasses are as follows. The Chronokinetic. They control time with lots of powerful movement effects and debuffs for their enemies. The Cryokinetic. They control the powers of frost and snow. Again, debuffing, slowing, and weakening enemies is their MO. And finally, the Metakinetic. A little bit more spellcasting focus more on the psionic magic aspect of the Null. If you want the quick build, easiest for beginners, the book recommends the Chronokinetic. Next up, the Shadow. The Shadow. They are the assassins, the rogues, the thieves. They strike from the shadows when your enemy least expects it. Their heroic resource is Insight. It should have been called Guile, but it's called Insight. It's not a big deal. Anyway, their heroic resource is called Insight. You gain bonus Insight when you attack with a Surge, which is a type of damage buff. This encourages you to get help from your fellow party members, as if a party member has an effect that can give you a Surge, getting them to give that to you so that you can gain bonuses to your Insight, that's going to be very, very important. The Shadow need not work alone. Their subclasses are as follows. The College of Black Ash, focused on movement and teleportation, moving around the battlefield at rapid pace and keeping out of the enemy's sight lines. Next up, the College of Caustic Alchemy. This focuses on bombs. Lots and lots of bombs. Bombs galore. AoE bombs. They love bombs. This is a fun subclass. I really like this one. And finally, the College of the Harlequin Mask, focused on illusion magic and tricking your enemies, often into like punching themselves, which sounds kind of slapstick, but it is extremely powerful in the right hands. Like, seriously, my buddy Caden has been using this subclass on his Drawsteel character, and wow, it's good. It's really good if you know what you're doing and managing your Insight well. If you want the quick build, the book recommends the College of Black Ash for beginners. Next up, the Tactician. The Tactician is your warrior, your frontline fighter, your battlefield commander. The Tactician focuses on leading their allies into the fight. Their heroic resource is Focus. Focus is gained from like a bunch of different stuff, but it's mainly gained from marking an enemy and having your allies hit that enemy. It's sort of similar to the Judgment thing from the Censor, but instead of it being singular to the one character, Tacticians encourage the whole party to get in on the action. You also gain more focus when your allies use their most powerful heroic abilities, meaning that it's good for you to combo with them and coordinate using your heroic abilities together. Your whole focus is being a strategist, so when you're playing a Tactician, strategize. Their subclasses are as follows. The Insurgent, an almost roguelike subclass that focuses on debuffing enemies and playing anything but fair. Next up, the Mastermind. This is the most support-focused of the subclasses, viewing the battlefield like a game board and coordinating your allies to the maximum degree. And finally, the Vanguard, a much more tanky version of the Tactician that leads from the front lines. If you want the quick build, the Vanguard is what the book recommends for beginners. Next up, the Talent. This one is my favorite. The Talent is a psionic spellcaster that is a master of controlling the battlefield and turning the enemy's own will against them. The Talent's heroic resource is Clarity. Like every other class in the game, you gain Clarity passively, but on top of that passive buff, you also gain Clarity when allies or enemies are forced to move on the battlefield. This encourages you to take control of your foes, shove them around, and gain bonuses to your Clarity so that you can use your powerful abilities. Now, what's unique about Clarity is that you don't necessarily need Clarity to use your heroic, powerful abilities. Clarity can actually go into the negatives, which is called Strained. This actually makes your abilities more powerful in exchange for you suffering some debuffs. You're basically overclocking yourself so that you can cast powerful spells. Now, this is risky, but very, very rewarding. Managing that is what makes the Talent so much fun. The Talent subclasses are as follows. You have the Chronopath, allowing you to view past and future events, to manipulate time and help your allies and hinder your foes. You have the Telekinetic, which allows you to physically manipulate objects and people around you. Lots of force movement abilities. And finally, Telepathy, allowing you to commune with your allies through your very mind and debuff your foes by taking control of their internal thoughts. If you want the quick build, the Telekinetic is what the book recommends for beginners. Last, but certainly not least, the Troubadour. The Troubadour is your bard, your performer, your sword dancer. The Troubadour's heroic resource is drama. Drama is gained by like a bunch of stuff. Like, not kidding. There's like a huge list of stuff that gives you drama. But primarily, it's whenever something dramatic happens in combat. For example, if your allies use a bunch of powerful heroic abilities in a row, you gain drama. If your ally or an enemy rolls super uber well or super uber bad, you gain drama. So as a Troubadour, you should be focusing on making that stuff happen so that you can use your abilities more often. Your abilities, by the way, as a Troubadour, literally break reality. Like, you become a storyteller in the game. You can summon NPC allies, get an enemy to turn on their friends. Like, you are, in a way, kind of taking the Dungeon Master's seat sometimes as the Troubadour. I guess bards everywhere are the masters of taking the spotlight, even from the DM. But yeah, the Troubadour is just such a cool and fun class, and their subclasses are as follows. The Auteur. You seek drama from story and recount, using magic to manipulate the sequence of events unfolding before you. This is the reality manipulation stuff, in case you're wondering. The Duelist, which is a movement-based class that focuses a lot on melee, a dance of death for your foes. And finally, the Virtuoso, finding drama in music and song. This is the more magic-based subclass that also focuses a lot on the music flavor of general bard stuff. Whew, that was a lot, but it was worth it. We just covered every class in Draw Steel. I will note that the Summoner, a class that focuses on summoning tons of minions to serve at your whim, as well as the Beast Heart, a class that focuses on a singular big ol' animal companion that fights alongside you. Those are coming very soon. The playtests are out right now, but they are not releasing alongside the main book of Draw Steel. But yeah, 9 classes, tons of subclasses, and 2 bonus classes on top of that. To say the least, Draw Steel has a lot of options for you to pick from. And each and every one of them is just so fun. I cannot recommend this game enough, just based on the classes alone. I hope you guys have enjoyed this series, and I hope that you'll pick your favorite class and get out there to Draw Steel.